We get lots of questions about toning the canvas. Well, it's not as difficult as people make it sound. I chose this one request from one of our subscribers because it sort of reflects a number of requests that we get. The first question has 3 or 4 questions here. The first question is, what I'd like to know is how to properly tone a canvas with one color of paint before starting to paint the subject. How to properly tone the canvas. Well, I don't really like that word properly. Maybe I can say how we can tone the canvas so that it can make it easy for you. So she also asked about choosing the colors, why tone a canvas and all that kind of stuff. Not every artist starts out with a toned canvas. One reason we tone our canvases to start out with is that most of us just like to get rid of that white canvas. And so we'll tone the canvas, throw a color all over it somehow just to get rid of the white. And that sort of begins to help break the ice so that we can move right into the painting. But not all artists do that. And getting that one out of the way, the best way to tone the canvas is to have a really thin layer of paint. Now you don't want to, if you have the paint too thick when you tone the canvas, it's going to mix with the paint and it's going to create mud for you. So I think this is what the subscriber meant when she said proper way. So I like for oil paint, this is oil paint. Now if you're using acrylic, you would use water for your solvent. But with this oil paint, this is clean Gamsol. I like to use the clean Gamsol, not the Gamsol I use to wash my brushes in. Now, when we have a subject like this, it looks like it's probably in maybe a late afternoon light, we might want to tone the canvas to influence that light to be towards the orange of the late afternoon, or we might want to tone the canvas to influence the green. Now what the toning actually does, it's probably not going to be that visible, but it's going to give kind of a hint of overall color that we might call the mother color. So if we wanted to do just a singly toned canvas, if we wanted it to be even throughout, what I like to do there is take Gamsol, clean Gamsol, and I'll usually we'll go to another container, like just a lid or something. I keep those around, and put just enough Gamsol in there. And then if I want that gold tint, now I've got a brilliant orange here that's made by Ganlin, and so if I wanted that gold tone, I might use that. And of course the amount that I have is going to be determined by the size of the canvas. But I would simply lay that tone on there. It doesn't have to be smooth. Let me say, it doesn't have to be smooth. Just lay it onto the canvas so that the overall tone is relatively even. Now there. Something I want to show you here, if you have that too watery, it's just going to run off the canvas. And so what you do is load the brush, like you saw me do here, and kind of tilt the handle of the brush at about a 45-degree tilt, and allow the belly of the brush to lay the tone on there. And that just makes toning the canvas a whole lot easier for you when you're holding the brush and moving the brush in that way. So you can see now, if I were to tone the whole canvas with this color, then I could build the painting on that and it would influence it. Now, you could also use multi-tones on a canvas. For example, suppose I want to influence both the green and the orange. Well, then I might add just a little bit of a blue to that orange, and let's get this let's get a little bit more of an actual orange in here. And I might have just a very subtle green. And what I might do here is sort of randomly, using that same technique of holding that brush about a 45-degree angle so that the belly of the brush applies it, I might randomly place that green into the tone, but keeping it very thin, because if you have the paint too thick, then it's not going to be a tone anymore, but it's going to become a part of the paint that goes onto the painting. Now, usually when you are toning a canvas like that, you can go right into it. A lot of artists tone and begin to paint instantly, and that's what I prefer doing, because the solvent's going to evaporate, and it's going to leave that paint adhering to the canvas itself. So I don't want to go into that part. I want to keep this about toning and also address the rest of this question. She says, often when I begin painting, the paint does not adhere properly to the toned canvas. I'd like to know why and how to resolve it. My guess is there that you have too much solvent on the toned canvas. In that case, what you would probably need to do is to wait just a little while and let some of that solvent evaporate. Either that, or you've let it get too dry, and if it's completely dry, then the paint doesn't want to go on the completely dry canvas. And in that case, what you would do, and I've done this in other video lessons or other quick tips, I believe. Well, in that case, what you will do is to take a mixture of a good oil like linseed oil, poppy oil, 50-50 with Gamsol or a good solvent, and give it a very light spray. I'm going to do that down here because this is dry, this is still wet. This is when the canvas is totally dry. Just give it a very light spray like that, and then wipe off the excess. And by wiping and pretend that I've done this on top of the cone of the tone. If the tone's totally dry, it's not going to come off when you wipe off the excess. So you wipe off the excess. You be sure that you wipe it off so that it's not too wet, so that it's just barely damp. And when you have it to a point where it's barely damp, then you can easily apply color on there. And I'll just give you just an example here. I'll just take a little bit of color here and show you that you see that color flows very easily on the canvas when the surface is slightly damp. So let's see, did that answer this? She says, oh yeah, what color does one use to tone the canvas? I think I addressed that. It does depend on the subject matter, and it does depend upon what color you want to influence the whole piece, and it doesn't have to be a single color. It can actually be 2 colors and perhaps 3. You don't want to get too deep into too many colors, but because then you'll just get chaos. So you want to keep color harmony. So I hope I answered that, and if you have something that you would like for me to address, leave us a comment down below, and we'll put your suggestion on the schedule. And we've got our full-length tutorials, DianeMize.com. Go check that out. Check out all the things that are going on over there, and you might find some free stuff that you'd like to. And there's your quick tip.